Hey, everybody. How are you today? Hope you're well. Welcome to MoveLab. I'm James. I'll be your host for today for CommunityFIT. If you are brand new to MoveLab, there is only one rule for you to remember, and that rule is whatever you are doing it correctly, because there's absolutely no wrong way to move, to explore, to be embodied. And this class is all about that. This class is all about, in general, MoveLab is about building self-trust and increasing curiosity and sort of play-centered movement. And today, we're going to be spending some time standing up. But first, we're gonna get into our practice down here on the floor. So sit, be comfortable, lie down, whatever that means for you today, and get ready. As we move through today's practice, if something comes up that you're like, that practice isn't for me, just go ahead and skip it. There's no need to force yourself into something that doesn't feel good. And if you are in a practice that feels exceptionally good and I move on, you don't need to move on. You can keep doing that thing. We're going to start in the way we always do, a little bit of breathing, a little nervous system warm up. We're going to get into our movement explorations and then end with a little bit of gratitude and send you on your way for today. So when you're ready, let's begin. We're going to start off with a breathing practice today. Today's breath is all just about breathing, but we're going to get kind of specific. We're going to think about, instead of how to breathe, where to breathe. So take your favorite hand and put it on your body somewhere. In fact, put it there now before I even put mine where it feels called. Just anywhere on your body, on a foot, on a leg, on a belly, on a chest, on the other arm, wherever it goes. And then I want you to imagine that wherever your favorite hand is touching on your body, that's where your lungs are. That is where you breathe. So as you inhale, for me, I'm imagining that my left forearm is actually doing the breathing. As if all of the air that comes in through my body goes right to wherever I'm touching. Yours might be somewhere different. But you're imagining that you're breathing into wherever it is you're touching. And then take your other hand and instead touch somewhere else. And you're breathing into wherever that hand is now touching. However it is you want to breathe, in through the mouth, in through the nose, big breath, shallow breath, it's up to you. Take both hands together and place them somewhere else. Wherever that is, you breathe there. You can change your mind at any time. And the amazing thing is I don't even need my hands to touch somewhere to imagine breathing into it. So just where would you want to breathe into your body at? Where in your body, as you close your eyes, keep them open, where in your body is calling for breath, for movement, for aliveness? Where it feels stuck, where it needs the breath. Three more breaths wherever you want to take it. And when you're done, bring your hands together, get them warmed up. Take your nice warm hands and place them on the front of your throat. Just be there. Let the warmth of your hands just do the work itself. You don't have to do anything. Just kind of being here is enough. Your nervous system knows what to do with this information. You can let your posture change or shift. And you can stay there, or your right hand can go on the left throat, Big heavy hand draws to the middle as you twist your face to look to the left. Big heavy hand over here. If you like these nervous system exercises and you have not been to Stress Reset, I highly recommend Stress Reset. We go into even more of these nervous system practices and get a little more detailed as to why. Last one over here. Good. Just take your head and let it relax. Right ear goes over, and then left ear goes over. Right ear, left ear. Now, as I do that, I'm allowing the posture in my spine to shift. So it kind of swings, swings. Last 2 and 1. From there, just take and pull your shoulders up into your ears, really, really tight, maybe even tighten up the arms, and then let it go. Tighten it all up. One more, tighten it all up. And then just let your shoulders kind of roll through that. Then we're going to take our arms behind us today. Legs can be straight, knees can be bent. You know what works best for your body. And we're just going to kind of slump or round, sink into the shoulders. Then we're going to push down through the arms to lift and open up the front of the chest. And then kind of slump, relax, sink. We're going to push down. You can keep your eyes forward, or you can lift through the chin and maybe even take an inhale into the front of the chest. 2 more of those. One more. Stay up. Bend your right elbow. Let the shoulders soften and sink, and you'll notice you kind of rotate. Push down, lift up, left side. Back up, right side. Up, left side. It's like one arm is still very active, very lifted. The other arm takes a break. One more over here. Bring the soles of your feet together and just kind of rock side to side. Straighten your legs out. Whether you want them super wide or narrow, that will be your choice, and rock. As I rock here, what I'm noticing is that the leg I'm rocking away from feels very long, like it's reaching or lengthening out of the hip joint, and this leg feels kind of shortened or pulled in. See what you notice as you rock side to side. Sometimes we think about, oh, how am I doing this right? How much do I do it? How little? What muscle? Forget about all of that. Instead, get really curious about, if I suddenly didn't know have words, if I didn't know how to talk about this thing that I'm doing, how would I describe what it is I'm noticing in my body as I do this? If I had to, on paper, write 700 words about what I'm doing, how would I describe my feet's experience, my head's experience, my shoulders' experience doing this? What experience are my guts having, my breathing? What am I noticing in the room? How does it make me feel? Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Today we're working our way up. So I want us to talk about the feet for a moment and their relationship to helping us be up. There's some really interesting stuff. Our first joint in our body the joint of connection is the soles of the feet to the ground. Where the soles of my feet meet the ground is joint number 1. It's not in my toes, it's not in my ankles. It's how do I sense movement between me and the ground. So as we go up, I want you to think, what does it feel like for my feet to be on the ground here? And another really interesting is as we age, and we hear about fall risks and balance and all of that, it has all to do with toe strength, and in particular, big toe strength. 1% increase in big toe wisdom, strength, intelligence, knowingness, in concern with that first joint, has a 7% fall decrease. If you increase 10% of strength in your big toe, which is like nothing to do, you get a 70% reduction in fall risk as we age. So this feels really, really important for everybody, but in particular, as we age, which is where we're all headed. So sitting, however it is you'd like to sit. You can sit back, you can sit up. You're gonna flex your feet flat and you're gonna take a look at them. My left foot over here would love to do sort of a sickle or kind of roll out to the side, kind of do that. For me, I've got to really practice pulling this outside edge of my foot backwards, which really activates some front of the shin muscle. And then as I point my feet, I want to monitor that my toes aren't overworking. I'm not squeezing through my toes, but I think, how much longer could I make my toes? Then I flex my feet. I monitor that I'm not doing something crazy in the ankle, or that my right foot and my left foot aren't doing two different things. I don't have to know the right answer. I just have to watch. And point and flex. And point and flex. And point and flex. And point and flex. Now, we're going to keep the feet flat. I think of them as like fence posts going up. I'm going to try to curl all of the toes over without letting my feet go cattywampus there. Pinky toes are super, super hard. And then pull the toes back. All of my toes, all of my toes, all of my toes, all of my toes. Good. Then we're going to point with the balls of the feet. So my toes keep coming back toward me. Then I'm going to curl the toes over and flex through my feet. Now, if you just turn the volume up, if you just effort and push your way through this, your feet are going to cramp, just letting you know. Instead, it's how do I finesse this? What is just enough curl where I feel like I'm doing some work here without going over the edge and going into a cramp? It's a fine line for you to sort of distinguish. What will help? Where do I take my breath? Where feels congested and tight? Can I just breathe, release, yield, relax into that? 2 more of these things. Good. Ankle circles. So when you're doing ankle circles, take a look at your knees. Your knees should be more or less pointed up towards the ceiling. Now, no one's going to be injured if they're not, right? But that's a different movement. What we're looking for right now is movement in the ankles and the feet. Now, get that movement through your hip joints, where you're going to notice your knees look out, your knees look at each other. Your knees look out, your knees look at each other. And then reverse. Perfect. From there, we're going to bring left knee in, right knee to the side. We're going to lift through this hip and sit back down. Lift through the hip and sit back down. Lift and sit. Lift and sit. Lift and sit. Now, if that's enough, keep doing that. If you'd like more, take this left hand, this opposite hand, put it behind you. Lift, keep lifting, and back down. Lift through the hip, keep lifting, and back down. Lift and lift. Lift and lift. One more. If those are enough work for you, keep doing that. Whatever of that feels like work for your body. For the rest of us, lift and sit. Lift and sit. Here's what I want you to notice. There is a big difference between lifting through the hips and sitting through the hips and throwing your body up. That is sort of a flagrant movement. And instead, we're just really interested in waking up this. So what is the wisest move for my body down here? Maybe it's this today. Maybe it's that. Maybe you have it in your repertoire to be really thoughtful here. Then let's switch sides. Flipping over. Warming it up. Once you've got it, turn the volume up a bit. If it's in your repertoire today, two more. One more. From there, let's put our legs behind us and come onto hands and knees. Now, we're gonna tuck the toes here to the best of your ability today. You're gonna kind of sit back and bounce and forward. Sit back and bounce and forward. As I said, the integrity of that big toe in particular is so important to balance in movement and foot mechanics. And because we wear shoes and because we don't walk barefoot and because we don't move through the world using our feet in smart ways, that area gets really tight, it gets really tense, it gets really complaining. So if your toe feels like it's going to rip, break, shatter, modulate it. Maybe you don't go back as far. Maybe you're just here. Maybe you take a break. Maybe this is one of the things you skip and go back to some of the other foot exercises. Now, you can see I've stopped, bounce, bounce, forward, and now I'm just back here. See if you can handle that. If you can handle that, kind of walk your knees back and increase. You can see I increased the angle at the toes. I turned the volume up. I made it more. Then, if you've got that, you can be back here. It does not feel comfortable. This is not comfortable, but it's also building up some resilience. I'm trusting that my body is knowing what to do with this. I know I'm not going to be injured. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but I can do uncomfortable things. Then point your feet. Just do a little pat there. Let the two big toes touch each other and sit back. The heels are going to open up and kind of cup my rear. And I can kind of do a wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Just being there for a moment. Then hands come back to the floor. We're today going to take right foot and place it right by right hand. If I turned at an angle, it's like this. Back foot can be tucked or pointed. Right now it's your choice. And you're sitting back and you're coming forward. You're sitting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If that feels exceptionally good or difficult, maybe you stay doing this leg. For me, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna see what's going on over on the left side. Now we're gonna come back to this, but we're gonna go into a practice that you need to have some level of comfort with in order to get into some of the standing work, and it's a falling practice. So we're gonna just kind of rock side to side. Here comes seaweed spine, our old friend, and I can come over and push and back up. It's like I'm falling to the right, falling to the left. I can have my legs here. I could have them here. They could be here. It doesn't make it, makes all the difference in the world and no difference at all where your legs are. Then I can go, well, how long can I keep my hand off the floor before it kind of slams? Do I want to use two hands? Getting used to being friends with, connecting in relationship to the sensation, to the act of falling is so important for opening up more movement possibility and working through fear response, stress response. So if this is working you up, if you're like, oh, I don't want to fall, I'm afraid of falling, I don't do things because I'm afraid I will fall, be here in this practice. Start working your way up. Eventually, maybe you can come here. And sort of, how long can I keep my hands here? Working your way that way. If falling practice feels familiar to you, if you've been with me in MoveLab, you've been doing falling practice for a while, or if you're like, I'm okay with falling, I'm not afraid of that right now, follow me here. We are going to be up on our knees, and we're going to go into match strike. Right leg, match strikes forward, and then comes back. Left leg, and comes back. Now I'm going to face this way so you can see what a match strike is and what it's not. Match strike, let me pull up the shorts a bit. Match strike, this leg comes straight forward and back. Straight forward and back. We don't do a hurdle with that. It's not out here. We're organizing hip joint, knee joint, foot joint. So, the reason it's called match strike is if you're on a mat, you're going to hear it. It's going to sound like a match striking. Now with that, you don't need to be static, still. You've practiced falling. You can kind of, seaweed. If you're inclined to keep your back foot pointed, what happens if you keep it flexed? If you deviate and step out, if you let your arms swing and move. How about if you closed your eyes? Last 3, 2, 1. Stay with one leg forward and one leg back. Strategize how you might come up. Take a walk around your space and just be there for a moment. Now, what I want you to do with that is find your way back to your mat. Open up your feet at least as wide as your body, if not a little bit more so. Let your weight go to the right and to the left. Right and left. Right and left. If you've got more to give, when you go to the right, be on the outside edges of both feet. Be on the edges, the left edges, then the right edges. One's on the outside, one's on the inside. Can I allow my feet, see if we can go here, to sort of yaw and move? Do I still have access to a really nimble, fluid body as I do that? How about if one foot is in front or in back? Do I still have access to rolling? Then parallel your feet and shift the hip weight forward to the toes, back to the heels. Forward to the toes to where your heels have to lift, and backwards so much that you kind of got to catch yourself. Toes, heels, toes, heels. Think of using all 10 toes. Push down through the tips of the toes. Push down through the tips of the toes. Push through the toes. Good. Then open up your feet wider than you believe yourself to be. And we're going to go so much over to this leg that this leg is sort of liberated and free. And so much over here. Here, think seaweed body. If you've ever seen Tai Chi, Qigong movement, that is your inspiration. We are not doing Tai Chi, nor are we doing Qigong. We are using that fluid motion as an inspiration to move. See if you can add in some layers to it. Can I go down and then up, or up and down, up and down? Can I just allow my body to sort of float? How about if I take a step forward? Now you can kind of see why falling practice is important, because if my definition of correctness, rightness, balance is static, stable, then I don't have access to this sort of fluid, finding myself off center, on center, rebounding. Just allowing your body to kind of float and play. Then separate your feet at least as wide as your mat, if you have a mat, wider than you are. Go down into your, in fact, I'm not even going to show you. Go down into your squat. Whatever you believe your squat is, stand back up. Go down into your squat and then stand back up. Now, think of a squat as a rest position. I don't care. I hate when people say feet have to be here, feet no need, blah, 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 blah. It's a bunch of rules. It's people's opinion. So instead, go down. Where do you have to go in that to be rested? Maybe it's there. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's here. Where do you need to go to be rested? And then stand back up. Down, up, down, up. Now, for a lot of people, that's a lot of work. If that's you, if you're figuring that out, be there with this. For others of us, we've got it. So we can go down, we can come up, and we can go down. We can come up. We can even go down, come up, toes. Now, maybe your arms want to do some funny business here. Wiggle, move. That's just them trying to help you organize the experience. Let them. Then stand where you are, pick up all your toes, wiggle your toes, set them down. Pick them up, wiggle, set them down. One more, pick them up, wiggle, set them down. go for a little walk. Just notice what you notice as you walk around your space. Wherever you're at, go ahead and put your hands on your heart as you walk, as you're still, as you're lying down, wherever you're at. Tell yourself thank you for showing up today and doing a really good thing for your feet, for your legs, for your balance, for your body, for yourself. Take a look around your room. Take a look at your floor. Tell your floor and your space, thank you. You could not do it without your environment. You are influenced by your world. Then take a look at anyone you see on screen with you, anyone in your space with you, dogs, cats, animals, people included. Tell your community, thank you. We are interconnected, and I cannot express it enough how we influence and are in relationship with each other. So thank you for bringing us into your community, and we welcome you into ours. As always, thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, James. I'm so excited. We actually have a participant on today that was in a presentation that I gave yesterday. So I'm happy to see her here.
Awesome. Welcome.
And any other new people, thank you for jumping on. So we did have an important question. We have a participant who has bunions on both feet. So when you were starting to do the toe exercises, she had asked, you know, what can she do for that? And of course, I told her, let's wait and ask you at the end, but I did Google some things, but I want to hear your take first.
Yeah. So there are a multitude of reasons behind bunions. So it's one of those, in the industry, we call that sort of Aunt Sally questions, when like I don't get an opportunity to be with you and kind of figure it out, because it's like, well, Aunt Sally's got this thing. And what do you do with that? So here is some really generic advice. What I have found, most bunion stuff is actually coming from hips and glutes. So the stronger and more organized you can get your hips and glutes, the better off your bunions will be. Bunions also have a whole lot to do with the footwear that you keep your feet in. So even though it's unsexy, having a wider toe box versus something narrow is key. You can do all of the bunion-y work you want to do, and the minute you put it in high heels, narrow shoes, tight tennis shoes, it's for naught, because you're spending more time doing that than you are working on your feet. Now, having said that, some things you can do, things like yoga toes or any of the little silicone things, like if you get a pedicure and they stick the things in between the toes to spread them, you can buy silicone versions of those. You can buy wood versions. You can find all sorts of different things that will help to spread that open. Doing the foot exercises we just did. Another thing, and one thing that I really, really like, is, you know, the rubber band that is on broccoli? So like the big, thick rubber band. What you would do is, let's see if I can adjust this camera real quick. You would take and you would put that rubber band, you would take and bend it so that circular rubber band becomes an infinity symbol. Put one around each big toe and kind of spreads the big toe. And then you kind of figure out, can I move my big toes? Can I move through the feet? And it helps to realign that. If you have any more specific questions, that would be a perfect thing to book a session with me where we can actually focus on that. What did Google have to say, Alicia?
Well, just that. It said there was, you know, things you could do to prevent bunions, and then things to do to relieve pain for bunions. And then, of course, there's always bunion removal if they get really bad. So it was a lot of the same exercises like what you were doing in the beginning, just trying to get that movement. It did talk a lot about footwear. Right. You know, and trying to prevent them. But then, you know, once you have them, what can you do to keep them from getting worse and to relieve the pain?
There are tons of, just to throw out a resource, Yamuna Foot Wakers, W-A-M-U-N-A, Yamuna Foot Wakers. I have seen, and there's cheap versions of that. I like to use racket balls, all sorts of stuff. I have seen miraculous movement in the opposite direction of bunion. People who have like extreme bunions, who do work, and within a very short period of time, couple of months, it looks as if they've never had bunions.
And it seems it's so common. What I was just reading, 1 in 3 people have bunions, and then there's the varying degrees. So it's definitely something that a lot of us are dealing with, and it's more common as we age, obviously. So we want to try to get ahead of it if we can, or you know, put a stop to it, you know, continuing to get worse. So
I think it's important to just know that there are support practices, tools, movements you can do before you opt for surgery. Because I've worked with plenty of people who have had bunion surgery, and some people it works great, and then some people it's not good. And once your feet are not good, you really wished you had done some things better before you opted for that surgery.
good. Awesome. Great. I'm glad I learned something today. I knew nothing about bunions. I love learning new things. So
we had a question. It says, not able to see anyone on screen but you. Eileen, if you're talking about us panelists, that's on purpose. So the only people you will see on these Zoom sessions are me and Alicia, and if Raymond or another panelist comes on. Great.
Awesome. Well, another great class. And so we've got stress reset tomorrow. It might be a great way to start your 3-day weekend. Actually, it will be a fabulous way to start your 3-day weekend. So,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so be sure to join us tomorrow at 12:15. And yeah.
Great. Tomorrow's class for stress reset. We on Wednesday we had some comments about wanting some strategies for tackling stress in between the shoulder blades, chest, neck, throat area. So that's what tomorrow's class is all about. So if you are someone who tends to carry their tension, their stress, the weight of the world in your neck, shoulders, chest, shoulder blade area, you probably want to tune in for tomorrow's class.
Fabulous. All right. Thanks so much, James. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.